We are bracing for this winter weather. We've been talking about it all week. Coming up, we'll tell you how Austin leaders are trying to better communicate during cold weather events. And the body of former President Jimmy Carter is now in Washington, D.C. How people there are paying their final respects.
One day closer to this winter precipitation that we are forecasting. We're agonizing over just where the freezing stuff will happen. I'll give you our updated guests in just a few minutes.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us. We are taking a live look over downtown Austin. Another chilly day here as we prepare for some incoming winter weather. I know many of us have been running around preparing our houses, the plants, the pipes. Rich has been running around preparing your forecast for you.
Yes, it's, again, one of the things that's been very tricky about this forecast is, when our temperature is going to drop below freezing. Will they drop below freezing in all areas? Will it be rain? Will it be freezing rain? And we're going to get into that here in just telling you what our updated forecast is telling us. We saw a few thin high clouds that were passing in the upper flow aloft, moving from west to east, coming out of McCulloch County on into San Saba County. But right now we're completely clear for a good portion of the area. Will stay that way through the day. Some of you have reached the lower 40s here at 12 o'clock. Some are still in the upper 30s. We've got 43, I think it looks to be our warmest reading at LaGrange and also at Georgetown. Most of the hill country in the upper 30s to low 40s. Now, look at these dew points. We haven't seen this in quite a while. A -2 degree dew point at Mason, -1 degree dew point at the Gillespie County Airport at Fredericksburg, 0 Atlanta. Yes, you can have a dew point that drops below 0. And then from I-35 eastward, mid and upper teens. I mean, this is extremely dry air that we have in place. It is what we call chapstick type weather. All right, we are looking at a northeast wind. Right now, we're getting wind speeds at 5 to 10. We're seeing maybe a little higher wind speed across parts of southwestern Bastrop into southeastern Travis County. But on the whole today, 5 to 10. We'll be at 44 at 1 o'clock on our way to a high between 3 and 4 this afternoon at 48. Dropping by 7 o'clock to below 40. By 9 to 10 o'clock, we'll be in the low to mid 30s. And then everybody will be mostly in the mid and upper 20s to around 30 tomorrow morning. Again, another freeze. So don't forget to leave your pipes dripping, so your faucet's dripping before you retire for the night. Precipitation chances heading up. We'll tell you when this stuff starts and when the wintry mix is possible. And we will also chat with you about the weekend coming up in First Morning Weather. Avery?
Rich, thank you. Austin leaders are changing how they communicate with the public about cold weather events. They talked about these changes in more detail last night. KXAN's Barrett Tryon is here now, giving us a closer look at how it's all going to work. Hey, Barrett.
Hey, Avery. Yeah, the big takeaway really from this meeting is how the city is streamlining some of its communication and resources during potential winter weather events like we might see on Thursday. The city's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management has taken the last few months to really prepare for events just like this. It has done training with different departments like Austin Energy, Transportation, even Public Works. Now, some of those are simple communication changes. Others include making sure emergency information is in multiple languages. Now, they are also changing how they communicate with the media, like us here at KXAN, getting that information out. The city also suggesting that people should sign up for alerts at warncentraltexas.org. They say that is the easiest way for the city to let you know what's going on in your neighborhood. Meanwhile, Travis County is also ready. The emergency management coordinator actually gave an update during this morning's commissioner's court.
I want everyone to remain weather aware. County departments are, of course, taking preparedness steps in case there are any impacts to roads, dealing with operations around warming centers, etc.
The county also reminding people to have a plan in case you lose power. Good advice. Avery.
Barrett, thanks so much for tracking it and such good reminders too. Governor Greg Abbott is activating state emergency response resources across the state. The Texas Division of Emergency Management will update warming center maps. In the meantime, the Texas A&M Forest Service is prepared to assist with clearing any ice. The National Guard is prepared for rescues if drivers get stranded. The city of San Marcos, just south of us here in Austin, is preparing to handle what Mother Nature will bring this week as well. City leaders say they have utility personnel on standby for any potential outages. A shelter there opened its doors on Sunday in response to the dropping temperatures, and it's not the only one stepping up to help the unhoused community. Workers at the home center you're seeing here filled dozens of emergency bags with water, Gatorade, granola bars, blankets, flashlights, and tons of other supplies. The group is passing them out to those people across San Marcos this week.
We're not just going to be going to the main areas, looking behind certain businesses that we know people often are at. We'll be actually going into the woods, looking in places that people are less likely to be looking for them, and hopefully locate some individuals and get them out.
The city of San Marcos says its public works department is also stocking up on supplies to try to keep the roads de-iced if we see any of that icing in our area. We have everything you need to know about preparations for winter weather, including what to put in your car's winter emergency kit, also ERCOT's weather watch alert, and other concerns coming from the cold weather. You can find all of that and some tips here at KXAN.com. Just look for that story. Governor Abbott has named a new Texas Supreme Court Chief Justice. The governor appointed Houston native Justice Jimmy Blacklock. He replaces Nathan Hecht, the court's longest-serving justice. Hecht stepped down at the end of December due to the mandatory judicial retirement age. Blacklock's term as Chief Justice runs through 2026. Before serving as part of the governor's general counsel, Blacklock also spent 6 years working in the Texas Attorney General's office. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is resigning as the leader of Canada's ruling Liberal Party. Trudeau's announcement yesterday follows growing calls for his resignation from inside his own party. The opposition Conservative Party now has more than 20% lead in the polls ahead of Canada's general elections. Trudeau will stay on as Prime Minister until a new leader is selected. Washington, D.C. is getting the chance to say a final farewell to the nation's longest living president. Yesterday in Georgia, people took the opportunity to say a final goodbye and a thank you to former President Jimmy Carter. Officials at the Carter Center in Atlanta say more than 10,000 people came to pay their respects to the late president just within the first 24 hours of his body lying in repose.
President Carter represented a lot of people, and we were very proud of him. We respected him.
President Carter's casket left the library this morning and arrived in D.C. He will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda starting this afternoon. The president's state funeral will be Thursday morning at the National Cathedral.
Dr. John Viasi is here, an allergist at St. David's North Austin Medical Center, joining us today to talk about cedar season. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you.
So talk to us a bit about cedar. What is it and how does it affect us?
Yeah, so mountain cedar is something very particular to the desert Southwest, but we find a lot of it here in Central Texas. Like between San Antonio and Waco is probably some of the strongest concentration that you're going to find of mountain cedar in the nation, certainly. And during this time of year is when it pollinates. So usually it pollinates between around the third week of December really heavily until about maybe the second, third week of January at the heaviest. But we can see it starting now up until mid to late February.
So what affects the season the most? Is it dry or wet conditions, hot or cold, or does that not affect it at all?
Yeah, a little bit of debate here. So obviously in drought seasons, it may not be as bad. So if it doesn't rain a whole lot for most of the year, the pollen may not be as productive. A lot of it really depends on the weather that we have during the season. So those nice, warm, windy days really bring out the pollen quite a bit.
So have we seen levels this year at a pretty high elevation, or what have they been like this year for us?
Yeah, so far, no. We haven't seen a whole lot. The season really hasn't hit hard. We are seeing some trace levels. Some days may have a little bit of elevation, but it hasn't been that bad so far. We expect the spike to occur around the fourth week of December, first week of January is typically when it occurs.
And so what are some of the symptoms that we may feel from, cedar flying around the area?
Yeah, the classic symptoms are itchy eyes, itchy nose, sneezing, clear mucus. So the itchy, runny, drippy, sneezy symptoms will be the hallmark symptoms of allergy, especially if you're worse outside than inside.
Of course. Well, Dr. John Viasis, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you very much for your time today.
Great. Thank you.
You know, we've been fortunate so far. We haven't seen too many of those cedar counts in the 4 and 5 and 6 digits. That normally will happen closer to the middle of this month. At least that's what's normal.
Well, we never know. Here's the thing. I never know if it's the dramatic temperature swings we see that's giving me all the gunk or the cedar. I know Sunday I was outside. It was 75 degrees and then woke up the next morning and I said, oh, I've got a stuffy nose now.
Yeah. It's probably the temperature swing. I think that affects most people. And good afternoon to you. We start out in High Texas at the Covington Cellars location. Beautiful day today. Nice and wintry with these temperatures in the 30s and 40s. This, the Covington Cellars view. We're seeing off to the right, just under the live bug, we're seeing just a few thin cirrus clouds. All right, our pollen count today, cedar is medium. It's about 3 times the amount of cedar this afternoon that we saw yesterday. Yesterday's count was about 110. Today it's about 345, so it's trending in the wrong direction. Molds are low today, but they're a little bit higher in number 2. All right, 4 o'clock temperatures will be in the mid to upper 40s. These are suggested forecast highs again today, below 50 degrees. And then by tomorrow morning, we're looking at an area-wide freeze, mid and upper 20s to some low 30s. And then tomorrow afternoon, some folks might not get out of the 30s. It's because we'll have a lot more cloud cover tomorrow than we are obviously seeing today. Some in the hill country will get into the 40s. Here's our weather maker. It is an area of low pressure in the northwestern corner of Mexico that will sag a little bit further to the south and west before taking off to the northeast, whereupon it will be pulling in moisture from the Pacific Ocean, some surface moisture flowing into the area off of the Gulf. So there'll be moisture at all levels of the atmosphere to set off the precipitation. And then by Friday into the weekend, we see the low depart, and we're dry from Friday afternoon into Saturday and Sunday. Thursday, midnight to 1 a.m., we start seeing the first signs of the potential of this wintry mix that we've been talking about for a while. Most of that, Lampasas, Burnett counties, actually for the hill country. Pockets of this overnight, Thursday morning, and then we get a brief break. But then by Thursday afternoon, we see a widespread coverage of rain and a few thunderstorms too. But there will be, again, pockets of freezing precipitation, again, primarily for the hill country on this 5 to 6 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. We're seeing heavier downpours from Giddings to Smithville down to the Luling area, but we're also still seeing these shades of pink across Lampasas and Burnett counties southward. So again, there may be a few temperatures hovering on Thursday at around freezing because most of us will not get out of the 30s on Friday. Thursday night, widespread rain, widespread potential for freezing precipitation in the hill country that will continue overnight into the pre-dawn hours of Friday. And then by Friday afternoon, the precipitation is gone. And then we're just going to be dealing with dry weather and warmer temperatures as we head to Saturday and Sunday. Most of our rain totals will average about a ½ inch to 1.5 inches based on present trends. This is what our in-house model is suggesting right now. So again, as we take a look at what will happen here in our viewing area, most of the precipitation east of I-35, general rain. West of the interstate and primarily for the hill country, there will be that mix, the wintry mix that we have been talking about, rain, freezing rain, potential sleet, and then perhaps in some of San Saba and Lampasas counties, a little bit of snow. Don't get excited. All right, a north to northeast wind at 5 to 10 today. Sunny with fair weather clouds increasing through the afternoon. Your daytime high 48. Mostly clear tonight to a partly cloudy sky tomorrow morning starting at 29. Then clouds continue to increase with only a 10% chance of rain on Wednesday, a high of 43. 40% chance of winter precipitation, rain, and a wintry mix on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Thursday through the day, I have that rain chance at the top and close to the top Thursday night into Friday morning. And then the weekend. Can't wait till it gets here, right? Will be sunny on Saturday, partly cloudy Sunday. Sunday will be our warmest day coming up with most highs around 58 to 62.
The new year brings some new regulations. Specifically, some rules affecting heating and air conditioning systems are changing. As of January 1st, EPA guidelines now require all HVAC systems to use certain refrigerants. We're going to explain what that is here in just a minute, but the goal is lowering the potential impacts on global warming and helping the environment. So joining us today to break down how the change could impact you is local HVAC contractor Jason Parton. He's the general manager of Strand Brothers Service Experts. So Jason, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so for people who are listening to this and thinking, what does this mean for me? Explain it for people, and who does it affect?
Absolutely. So this actually does affect every homeowner, whether you're going to eventually do a repair on your existing heating and cooling system or potentially get a new whole system installed in your house. So what you were talking about is the Clean Air Act that went into effect this year, and it deals with refrigerants that we see here on the table. All refrigerants are measured and give a rating for GWP. That's that global warming potential. So the lower the number, the better, right? So if you look at 410A, right, this is the one that was most commonly used prior to this. That has a global warming potential of over 2,000, or 2,088 to be exact. So compare that to 454B. That's the one here at Strand Brothers and Service Experts that we're going to utilize the majority of the time throughout the year. That has a global warming potential of just 466. So you can see it's a dramatic difference. So when people are going to put a new system in their house, they can get all the benefits and the better efficiencies while they're still feeling much better about the impact that it has on the environment around them.
So if people are working with Strand Brothers or other contractors in the area, we're assuming they're going to be making this switch, making sure people are within the guidelines. But we know a lot of people do try to DIY things, or maybe they're at Home Depot looking at these products. What do you recommend? Why is this change so important, other than just the guidelines have changed?
Well, to work with the refrigerant in general, it takes a lot of schooling and specific knowledge. So I had mentioned it kind of affects everybody. This handles repairs as well. So it's important to know that you cannot mix the two types of refrigerant in one system on your house. The other thing to keep in mind is part of that Clean Air Act means that they are not going to be producing near as much of this and eventually phasing it out. So what does that mean? That means the cost is going to go way up when they have that diminished production. So it's important to stay ahead of it and do what's right for you and your family to get the correct system installed sooner rather than later.
So when we're talking about environmentally friendly changes to your home or other smart technology, I know that's a big thing as we head into 2025. What else should homeowners keep their eyes on? Well,
I would say the most simple thing that people are really embracing very well now are things like the smart thermostats. These are Wi-Fi enabled. You can use your voice assistant at home or even smartphone apps to really change the temperature, humidity from anywhere in the world. And what's kind of nice is that it learns your preferences over time, so it makes it really easy to optimize that energy usage in your home.
For people who may see that or hear that and think, gosh, the cost investment might be a barrier to entry there, what would you say are some of the cost savings of making the switch to a smart thermostat?
Well, not only can it optimize your heating and cooling system, but it can actually, it's more of a smart home hub nowadays, because it goes beyond just heating and cooling systems. It can help utilize your solar panels correctly. It can even tag in your EV charger, even water products like this, water sensors or leak detectors to make sure your home is safe, and it gives you a little more peace of mind.
Especially during this season when we're all worried about our pipes and things like that when the temperatures drop. Okay, speaking of homes of the future, you all recently gave a local man a huge prize to help him upgrade his home. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this was actually a nationwide contest through Service Experts, and it was the Home of the Future giveaway. It's a $134,000 makeover to the home, and it was one of our own Austinites that got the grand prize. So we installed a lot of cutting-edge technology in his home. Not only the new refrigerant for a new system for his house, but things like indoor air quality products, so you're more comfortable in the home. Water conditioners, water softener, tankless water heaters, and even solar panels that we're installing later on in the month.
Pretty incredible. I think we're all a little jealous there, but some inspiration for some of us if we're trying to give our home some New Year's resolutions, a little spruce. Jason, we could probably keep you here all day, but thank you so much for breaking it down for us.
Absolutely appreciate the time.
Thanks again. We'll be right back after the break.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
New this midday, University of Texas President Jay Hartzell is stepping down to become the next leader of Southern Methodist University in Dallas.
SMU confirmed its Board of Trustees approved Hartzell's hiring today. Hartzell is expected to take over there on June 1st. He said in a statement, quote, "I am honored to serve as the next president of an exceptional institution like SMU and one of the most dynamic and fastest growing cities in the nation, and excited to see how I can make the greatest impact as a leader." Hartzell led UT in Austin over the past 5 academic years. It's unclear exactly what led to Hartzell's decision to head to SMU, but in his statement, he called it an opportunity he, quote, "could not pass up."
About an hour ago, Hartzell sent out a much longer statement directly to the UT community, listing some highlights from his time there and telling the community he's grateful. You can read more about this story on our website, KXAN.com.
First warning weather.
I want to take you now to a live look over downtown Austin as we are all preparing for a winter storm coming to the state later on this week.
Those temperatures remaining cold out there all across our area, as meteorologist Rich Siegel has a look at in that graphic behind you.
Temperatures have slowly made it into the low 40s this afternoon. Unseasonably cold temperatures continue. It's been a while, actually, before yesterday, where we were saying unseasonably cold. We had talked about unseasonably warm air throughout parts of November and especially the second half of December. Now we are talking about winter's chill. Maybe we'll get this out of the way early this year for those of you that want that warm weather. It'll be back, but let's enjoy for those of you who like the cold. It's 36 at Lomita, the rest of the area 38 to 43 in the hill country. Metro temperatures 39 at Florence to the low 40s for the rest, 42 at Taylor, 42 at Lakeway, 43 at Wimberley, western Hayes County, and we're in the upper 30s to lower and mid 40s now. We're at mid 40s at Muldoon, LaGrange, and Weimar, all three at 44 degrees, and we're heading to a little more warmth as we get further into the afternoon. Temperatures will peak in the mid and upper 40s. North-northeast winds funneling more dry air. If you were with us at the top of the hour, we showed you dew points in Mason and in Fredericksburg that were below zero for dew points. That is extremely dry air. So this is what we have for winds right now. And as we go through the afternoon, sun and fair weather clouds with those 40s on a day again today, where the normal high is 62. 62 is the lowest normal high that we have during the calendar year in mid to late December on into early January. We'll tell you when we get above that, if we even do get above that, in just a few minutes. Avery.
Rich, thanks for tracking it for us. Fire departments in our area say, unfortunately, fire risks go up when the temperatures cool down. Since Sunday, the Austin Fire Department says it's already responded to several fires.
Yesterday, multiple people were forced out of their apartment in southwest Austin after an accidental fire ignited from their fireplace. Another fire happened on Sunday afternoon in North Austin. We also checked with Pflugerville firefighters, which told us they responded to one call at least nearly every day this week related to the cold. The fire department there says calls like this go up because people are just trying to stay warm and run into some trouble with fireplaces, HVAC systems, or even space heaters. Strong winds also made those fires even harder to battle for first responders.
Normally it probably would have been pretty easy for us to get a handle on. The wind was blowing hard, then it would stop blowing a little bit and then blow hard.
Firefighters say people should make sure they have working smoke detectors, so test out your batteries and replace those if needed. Turn off any space heaters before you leave your home and do not leave them unattended. Pflugerville firefighters also ask that people right now should be extra mindful while cooking and using a stove. Families in a South Austin neighborhood are worried that fires nearby could spread to their homes.
And Austin firefighters have worked a few fires at homeless camps this past week. Neighbors say this camp off William Cannon and Bluff Springs Drive keeps growing. One woman and her family have lived close to the camp for over 20 years, and she shared her family's Ring security video with KXAN. It shows what neighbors describe as chaos. The camera even caught a massive fire in a front yard last year.
I don't really have much of a clue who lives here. I just know it's multiple people. The fire department's come here about multiple times.
Austin's Homeless Strategy Office says its outreach teams are going out to camps where unhoused people are living to tell them about cold weather shelters, especially this week. Austin police do need your help finding the person who they say killed a man found dead at a homeless camp on Saturday.
We told you about this yesterday, but at the time, police said the man's death was not a homicide. However, now they are investigating it as one. Police came across a burned tent in the Greenbelt in southeast Austin. Investigators say they believe the fire covered up the man's death. The autopsy showed he had sharp force injuries to his body. Police have not yet shared his name, but said he is white or Hispanic and was homeless and possibly had the nickname JT.
Your time now, 12:35. We're turning to some statewide news. Texas lawmakers are taking a look at what impact media may have on minors.
A joint committee at the Texas Capitol is discussing the health and developmental impacts of various forms of media, including social media platforms and the internet. State lawmakers are also examining forms of media like movies and TV programs, mobile devices, video games, virtual and augmented reality, and artificial intelligence.
The president and first lady have traveled to New Orleans. This was yesterday to honor those killed in the New Year's Day attack on Bourbon Street. The Bidens attended a prayer service hosted by the Archdiocese of New Orleans and met privately with some victims' families, some community members, and first responders and law enforcement. This is likely the last time Biden will make a trip to the setting of a mass crime to console families in his role as president. The president leaves office in less than 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, President Biden is moving to ban new offshore oil and gas drilling in most U.S. coastal waters. He says he's using authority under federal law to protect offshore areas along the east and west coast, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and portions of Alaska's northern Bering Sea. The president says his decision is backed by coastal communities that know offshore drilling could cause irreversible environmental damage. A spokesperson for President-elect Donald Trump says that decision will be reversed once he takes office.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is being cited for civil contempt of court. He's accused of failing to comply with a $148 million defamation ruling. The citation comes from the case involving 2 Georgia election workers. Their lawyers allege Giuliani failed to surrender assets that they are owed. Giuliani says the 2 election workers are upending his day-to-day life. He adds that it has been difficult to obtain necessary paperwork and says he has not, quote, willfully disobeyed any court orders. Another trial is scheduled for January 16th to determine the status of some of Giuliani's possessions.
On Friday, President-elect Donald Trump will learn his sentence in the New York hush money case. Yesterday, the judge there denied Trump's request to delay that hearing. Trump's lawyers argued the hearing should be postponed until January 27th, after he becomes president again. The judge rejected that argument. Last year, a jury convicted Trump of 34 felony counts. The judge says that Trump has the option of either appearing in person or virtually for the sentencing on Friday. Happy Tuesday afternoon, everybody, and thanks again for sticking with us on KXAN News at noon. We're showing you a live look from my favorite weather cam, so I want to thank Rich Siegel so much for pulling this up for me. It's a beautiful shot from Llano out there. Hope you all are enjoying your day. We will get an update, though, on what's to come with this wintry weather we're expecting in just a few moments.
Taking you from one beautiful live look to another in the freezing temperatures of 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. A miniature frozen city has risen in China's northeastern province. Visitors can walk through these historic monuments carved from giant icy boulders in the shape of the Taj Mahal, the Temple of Heaven, and even Warrior Square. This year's event showcases the sculptures and landmarks of 42 Asian countries and regions. The ice blocks used in the park are preserved from last year, and then they're carved out of a river nearby. Once it's thick enough, the ice from that river is then carved out, creating this cultural tradition for people to enjoy. It's a winter spectacle the local government says has led to a 21% rise in tourists this year.
I'm just cold looking at that, though. Well, meanwhile, children have a vast imagination, and a teacher's assistant in Wisconsin is using her crochet skills to turn her kids' dreams into a reality. Kim Ledholm shows us how that all involves designing hats.
Made with love. It's a saying we've all heard.
When I was laid up, I started watching YouTube videos and taught myself how to crochet. It was something to keep my hands busy.
And Kimmy Horn, a paraprofessional with the Osseo Fairchild School District, kept her hands busy to gift her students with something special.
A hat.
Something made with love.
Miss Kimmy made it.
Printed out blank stocking hats and gave them to each of the kids. I said you can pick 3 colors, then just let them have creative control and just go for it.
And with that creative control, Miss Kimmy helped the kids create something amazing.
Yeah, but on the other side, there's no spot of blue.
A unique hat to represent them.
It gave me like a little bit of time where I was like almost like with the kid, like one-on-one time like with them. I see what they're drawing and it really is their personality, how they colored it in.
Whether the hat is mainly solid colors or full of spunk, it's special because it shows the students anything is possible.
Learning isn't just numbers and letters, like there are other lessons in there and just really instilling that confidence in them. Everything you imagine can become a reality.
Everything, even a hat that started as a piece of paper.
Knowing that what they can do, like, can actually become real, like, can just help with their learning throughout the years and just makes them so excited.
Hats and gloves can easily be lost. But at the Osseo Fairchild School District, there's some extra special hats.
This hat because Miss Kimmy made it.
Keeping heads and hearts warm.
This is the best day ever!
We have collectively been awing all through that package right there. So that was Kim Ledholm reporting. Miss Kimmy says she started actually working on the hats in October and then slowly tackled them for the next 2 months, finally finishing them ahead of the holidays there. But what a special treat it is for those kids in her class. That's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of work to do a hat per kid in your whole classroom. I mean, as if teachers needed another reason to be proud of them.
Yes.
There's another one.
And you can see that when they all ran up to her at the end, you know she's a favorite.
That was the biggest awe moment.
That was so cute.
So sweet.
I love when we do show stories like this and the children are telling part of the story.
Correct.
Who made that? Miss Kimmy made the hat.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Let's go to some placid view right now from the Oasis camera out at Lake Travis. A very calm afternoon starting with winter's chill still in the upper 30s to low 40s. Hey, I was telling you about sub-zero dew points, and look at these numbers. 6 below the dew point at Llano, 3 below at Mason, 1 below at Fredericksburg. It is very rare that we see these types of numbers, but we are seeing that today. All right. Thursday is when we are going to see the better chance for precipitation. This is after midnight when we start seeing an increase in the freezing precipitation across the hill country, and in some of the warmer sectors of air that precipitation will form as rain, fall as rain. We get to 10 o'clock Thursday morning, most of the activity is still in the hill country. Temperatures should be above freezing at most locations, but we may have some bordering on freezing, maybe a couple of degrees above, because Thursday is going to be our coldest day. And there we are continuing this forecast of some winter mix across parts of the hill country that will continue on into the afternoon, and about an hour or so before or after the sun goes down, and we're seeing some heavy rains across Caldwell, Bastrop, Fayette, and Lee counties. Then we go out to 10 o'clock and we're seeing widespread coverage of rain for most of the area. Still pockets of winter precipitation, Lampasas and Burnett counties westward, even in Gillespie County. Again, the possibility that this will happen by 2 a.m. We see a little bit of this snow potential. I doubt that it'll happen. I think it's still going to stay pink. But anyway, to the northwest of Dripping Springs, also up in the Gerald area. And then as we get to about 7:30 on Friday morning, precipitation done. Clouds will start to clear late in the afternoon, and we're left with sunshine for the weekend. Some of the rain could get heavy at times, and so our model continues to suggest about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and a few locations that may be higher than that. Now, let's go to North Texas. This is Thursday at noon. We are seeing in the Dallas area a combination of rain and freezing rain. That's why this forecast is so complicated. By 6 o'clock, pretty much the same thing. Temperatures will be above normal, but not by much. 33 to 35 is what they're forecasting in Dallas on Thursday, Thursday during the afternoon. And then the precipitation changes over to snow. This is Friday at 2 a.m. to Friday at noon. The precipitation starts to come to an end, and then dry weather for Friday afternoon into Friday night. It's just going to be cold. So if you are going to the game and you are driving up there, I do it on Friday morning. All right, 48 today with plenty of sun and increasing fair weather clouds, a north to northeast wind at 5 to 10. Clear this evening, partly cloudy in the morning, low 29. Only 43 with clouds tomorrow. Chance of precipitation goes to 40% about 8 o'clock at Wednesday night to about 6 a.m. on Thursday. Then a 100% chance everybody's going to measure rain on Thursday. Some of you have in the hill country that wintry mix. Then a 90% chance of rain mainly Thursday evening, starting to taper overnight Thursday to Friday. We'll keep a low chance of rain Friday morning. No rain Friday afternoon, 46 on Friday. Again, Thursday our coldest at 38. Then we're in the 50s on Saturday, and some of you hit 60 on Sunday.
After 18 years in business, the Half Price Bookstore on Palmer Lane in North Austin is saying goodbye. We'll show you this sign posted outside the store. Says it couldn't come to an agreement on a new lease. So its doors will officially close at the beginning of next month. No word on whether there will be a closing sale yet. Other Half Price book locations will not be impacted.
A herd of goats is working hard to ensure that one part of Travis County stays safe from potential wildfires. Lake Travis Fire Rescue has these goats eating overgrown vegetation in the Steiner Ranch area. Their grazing is meant to reduce the amount of plants that can fuel a wildfire. The herd began doing this on Saturday, and they will keep eating through Friday in the green belt along the hiking trail. If this feels somewhat familiar to you, the Trail Conservancy actually started using goats last year around Lady Bird Lake in downtown Austin. They'll eat harmful plants along the hike and bike trail there. So some free labor, I would imagine, for the fire department there, but also what a benefit for them and for all those who live in the Steiner Ranch area. Kind of a fun way to do that.
I was told this morning by one of Kristen Curry's guests, she had a tour group that came through. They were from Williamson County. And one of the parents asked me about the forecast for Liberty Hill because they have goats. And she said that the goats do not like the freezing precipitation or the snow, which I find interesting. But
me and the goats.
I would say that feels familiar to me, too.
So anyway, that's valuable information. So we'll try to keep the freezing rain away from western Williamson County. Let's take one last look here at your 7-day forecast. Bright today, gray tomorrow, wet on Thursday. Not as gray on Friday, and then a lot of sunshine for the first part of the weekend. We'll start seeing some clouds on Sunday. Coldest day and the wettest day coming up will be Thursday. Warmest and somewhat brightest day will be on Sunday. Notice that we still will have temperatures at or below freezing for the next 4 mornings.
Pay close attention to that. And if you all noticed, I stepped away from the desk for just a little bit because we were interviewing the CEO and president of ERCOT, the state's power grid operator, and he wanted everyone to know that they believe that conditions will be good over the coming week with all this winter precipitation. So wanted to pass that along, and we will have more on that on KXAN News at 4 this afternoon. But thank you both, and we will say thank you all as well for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you back in about half an hour with another update on the news and weather. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Take care.